Katie Lasso takes us literally up into the air, about 1,000 feet up to be exact, to meet 3 of the brave NYPD officers who are keeping our city safe while also working hard to motivate young kids to follow in their footsteps.
Aviation 20 Central.
They're the eyes in the sky watching over New York City. Their office with views unparalleled. For each of these 3 men, it's a dream come true.
I fell in love with aviation from a very young age.
Ever since I was a kid, seeing helicopters and airplanes flying over my house.
And wondering how's these things actually in the sky? What's making them stay in the air?
They're among the 76 men and women who make up the NYPD's aviation unit. Captain Louis Severo is the commanding officer.
Day after day, I couldn't be prouder of the men and women that are assigned to my unit.
The job requires extensive training, but for them, another responsibility.
We don't really see pilots that look like us, and that's a huge problem.
It's a role they don't take lightly, often spending some of their free time sharing insight with young aviators.
Just give them a little feel of what it's like to be exposed to aviation, what it's like to fly.
That insight extended to our cameras as Officer Carr invited us inside the flight simulation room.
You'll have a seat on the pilot side for me, please.
Oh, I'm the pilot?
You're the pilot today.
And into the cockpit.
This is our patrol helicopter. We have 4 of these.
Where I learned very quickly.
All right, yep.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm gonna walk you through it.
That flying a helicopter is no easy task.
Nice and easy in a helicopter. Everything's nice and easy.
Officer Carr says they're constantly training.
What is the hardest thing you would say?
It's all about consistent training. Helicopter takes a bit of coordination, hand-eye coordination, if you will.
After some more tips,
I'm gonna start letting go.
it was time for me to try it out for real.
That's all you flying right now.
Just kidding. Did you guys really think they would let me fly an actual helicopter?
Okay, I'm gonna help you out here.
Especially after this landing.
And here we are at Wall Street Heliport.
You did that.
We would have been in the water if I did that.
Then it was time to go out on patrol.
Put it on like a jacket.
Safety first, photojournalist Jose and I strapped into life preserver vests.
In the unlikely event that we have to land in water, then when we get down, then you'll pull this, all right? Not
Unlikely
now.
event.
Unlikely.
Then it was off to the helipad and up into the sky. First up, Prospect Park for a report of someone flying a drone.
Negative results at Prospect Park for the drone.
Then we headed over to Manhattan.
There's Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, and Williamsburg Bridge. And we're going to do a bridge inspection over there.
Officers Worthington and Carr demonstrating how they're able to see in all different types of conditions.
Anything that emits heat in this mode will glow. And that's how we get to see things in a pitch dark open field.
A few more checks at some of the tourist attractions
Looks good.
before heading up the East River.
So our water rescue jobs, we utilize our ASC rescue helicopter.
The officers say they hope their success inspires young boys and girls. To those watching, their message is this.
You can do anything you put your mind to.
It's not about what color you are. It's not about race. You could be whatever you want to be, and don't let anyone tell you can't do it. A lot of people told me, I'm not going to be a pilot, I'm not going to make it, and here I am today.
From high above New York City, Katie Lasso, News 12.
Culture.
Hi, News 12. I just won The Voice.
Community.
The first shot went into the arm of Port Washington nurse Sandra Lindsay.
Connections.
Seems like so much fun.
It was pretty hectic.
Discover News 12 New York.
Hey, look, we're happy, right?
A new way to see the best of News 12's local channels from across the tri-state area, all in one place. Now streaming 24/7 on your favorite devices. Discover News 12 New York today.
We're celebrating Black History Month by recognizing our local history and local trailblazers. And tonight, we're going to tell the story of a local superintendent who's trying to bridge the gap on race in this country. News 12 Connecticut's Mark Sudol spoke with him.
I got this feeling it's gonna snow.
In less than 6 months, Dr. Rydell Harrison has already made a name for himself as the new superintendent of the Easton and Reading School District.
Computer, 'cause it's a snow day. We will not be zooming 'cause it's a snow day. Come on.
This snow video went viral.
Well, so far the transition has been great.
He says like any transition, it's been challenging, especially teaching kids in a pandemic. But nothing like this.
It's the worst of who we are and who we can be.
Dr. Harrison says when he saw the Capitol riots on January 6th, he couldn't sleep that night.
There's one specific image that really stuck out to me, and that was the image of a Confederate flag being waved in the U.S. Capitol.
Dr. Harrison says he hopes we can all learn something from what happened in Washington.
That our democracy is fragile, and it is incumbent upon all of us to make sure that we are building the kind of community that we can be proud of.
He says he wants to remind students and parents that we all have a voice and can change our history for the better.
There's still hope. And you know, as we're living through a really tough time historically in our nation, we can also look back to other tough times where we have seen light at the end of the tunnel and we've seen change.
Dr. Harrison says it's really up to all of us to create a better equality for everyone.
We can be better than this.
Mark Sudol, News 12 Connecticut.
Yeah.
Okay, after the break with more news here on News 12 Connecticut.
Call it a tiny house, an in-law apartment, or an accessory dwelling unit. If you live in Fairfield, you may soon be able to build one on your property. News 12 Connecticut's Sean McCabe with the story.
Fairfield Planning and Zoning just made life a lot easier for residents hoping to add a second dwelling onto their existing home.
It's just making use of space that's there. It's providing an income source for people that may badly need it.
P&Z voted last week to allow residents to convert or construct outbuildings on their property as a small secondary apartment.
Often they get started as garage conversions.
Fairfield senior advocates say it's a modern in-law apartment for seniors who want to stay in town on a fixed income.
2 women sharing a kitchen is not always a good idea. So an ADU provides for the ability to have some sort of separation and yet togetherness.
Proponents say it's not just seniors who stand to benefit from budget-conscious housing.
Definitely the college students, the newly graduated students, and quite frankly, that's good for our state. We need to retain these kids. We need to make sure they stay here, they work here.
Accessory dwellings can't be bigger than 1,500 square feet or 40% of your house's footprint, whichever is smaller. Fair Plan co-president Alexis Harrison says that will help keep the look and feel of Fairfield's neighborhoods.
You're not going to see a monstrosity being built to a small ranch house,
while adding more affordable housing where it's needed most.
This is very important that we find more opportunities for people to, continue to live and to come to Fairfield.
The accessory units can't be rented for less than 60 days, so don't expect any of them to be showing up on Airbnb anytime soon. For now in Fairfield, Sean McCabe, News 12 Connecticut.
Residents who want to convert or construct an accessory dwelling unit must apply for a permit with Fairfield Planning and Zoning.
Dorothy Gooseby made history when she was elected to the Hempstead Town Board in 1999. Getting there, not easy. Came after a long battle. But as News 12's Ian Page learned, Gooseby never gives up. Here is part 3 of our Black History Month series.
The Hempstead Town Board named the plaza at Town Hall after senior councilwoman Dorothy Gooseby last year during Black History Month.
Can you believe that? I mean, that was really something, when they did that. I was just so shocked. Can you imagine it? I mean, an African-American woman?
Dorothy Gooseby's been shaking up the establishment for years. It all started in 1988 when Gooseby filed a lawsuit against the town of Hempstead, arguing that its at-large voting system for electing town council members discriminated against African Americans.
Dorothy Gooseby said, yes, I'll be the named plaintiff. And in that living room, we shook hands with her and her husband, Jay, who's passed away now. Therein, the case was born.
Fred Brewington's a long-time civil rights attorney in Hempstead and the founder of the largest African American-owned law firm on Long Island. Fred knew the only way to change the system was to sue, but he needed someone to stand up.
She's a maverick because she dared to step up when other people wouldn't.
11 long years after filing the lawsuit, a federal judge ruled in favor of Gooseby, and a year later, Dorothy ran for and became the first African-American woman to serve on the Hempstead Town Council. For the past 20 years, Gooseby's been reelected by an overwhelming majority.
They don't get what they want, they call me. And the other council people will really listen.
Dorothy wants things better for the next generation. The mother of 2 didn't want to run years ago, but she knew she couldn't stay on the sidelines if she wanted things to change.
I'm not going to be here forever. You know, I want them to learn, and what I really want them to know is how important it is to get involved.
Without her, there would have been individuals that would have had no voice.
Dorothy's voice helped make civil rights history in the town of Hempstead. Ian Page, News 12.
And she has no plans of retiring anytime soon. She continues to work tirelessly for her constituents. In addition to being a distinguished public servant, she's a registered dietitian, an author, and a longtime advocate and supporter of children and youth programs. The resume goes on, and so do her contributions.
Follow Mommy Friends of Long Island. You know that Ann always has the greatest ideas. So start us off with President's Day fun.
So it is President's Week and the kids will be home from school, so you can have a lot of fun. You know, President's Day, you can make some fun face masks for the kids. You know, use a paper plate, cut out the center. You can make the construction paper hats and, you know, add the details, some cotton balls for George Washington's hair.
That's awesome, but there's nothing like this.
Well, you can definitely get creative and see what you can pull off with this one. So this is Abraham Lincoln's log cabin, that he did grow up in a log house. So we tried to do it with pretzel rods. All I did was use a craft stick. It makes it a lot easier, you know, to spread the frosting on than a knife. And it's better for little kids' hands too. But you know, you could stack it starting like this and then keep adding them and keep going up. So, cardboard tubes. I have them all over the house, you know, never know when you need them. And then blue painter's tape. So the first thing that we're doing is the shadow fun with the cardboard tubes. So you can see that the cardboard tube, all you need to do is put saran wrap on top, wrap it with a rubber band and put the sticker on, and then you put a flashlight on the other end and it illuminates onto the walls. It's a fun way to do creative story time with the kids, and they'll love it. Then another way to use cardboard tubes is back there with the rainbow sorting that you guys have. You just have to put the tubes, and you have pom-poms, and the kids get to choose what colors will go in what tubes. It's a great color recognition, fine motor skills. Great job, Elisa. And then using some crepe paper and this blue tape, you can make a really fun obstacle course for the kids.
Thanks so much,
Thank you, Ann. I will be doing all of this at my house.
Time and temperature brought to you by King O'Rourke Auto Group, home of the $169 lease.
Well, the cold weather is bringing out the creative side in a New Jersey craftsman. News 12 New Jersey's John Bathke takes us out on the ice to meet him.
When you're doing a story about ice sculptures, you never know. You just might end up sitting on one. Earl Covington was just a kid when he discovered that ice is cool.
I was 16 years old at the time.
That's when Covington first started to carve ice, creating sculptures for a restaurant. Soon, this was his career. He became a champion sculptor, competing around the world, turning blocks of ice into elaborate figures like these. It was a good career, he says, but one that he had put behind him years ago. Until just a few weeks back, when he found his way onto the ice once again.
It's like turning into a community where we can all get together again, something we haven't done. And you can still social distance.
Furloughed from his current job due to the pandemic, and with plenty of thick ice to harvest from the lake behind his home in Highland Lakes, New Jersey, Covington, with some creative neighbors to help, started carving again.
I get to know a lot of people in the neighborhood because I'm new here. So I've met a lot of really nice people.
This is how his sculptures here look at night, shimmering under the lights. On this day, he is making a swan to add to the igloo, the sofa and the coffee table, and the family of other figures frozen in place. He's hoping for a long, cold winter to keep them around a while.
It feels real good to have a chainsaw back in my hand, you know, doing what I really had a passion for. It feels really good.
In Highland Lakes, John Bathke, News 12, New Jersey.
I know, it's just jaw-dropping. Covington says he just hopes everyone in the community gets some enjoyment from his sculptures for as long as they last.
Well, the power of music is being felt in the fight against Parkinson's disease. The Light of Day Festival draws dozens of musicians to Asbury Park every winter to raise money for research and treatment. Things, though, different this year. News 12 New Jersey's John Bathke tells us more in his ongoing coverage of the pandemic's impact on entertainment.
Instead of audiences filling music venues throughout Asbury Park for the Light of Day Festival this year, the music will come to the audience at home.
300 miles, 400 miles.
The Light of Day Foundation brings some of music's brightest lights to Asbury Park. But this year, with music venues shut down due to COVID, it will be a virtual Valentine's weekend Light of Day Love Fest, with the organization streaming recorded performances.
It brings it out in us as musicians to be able to use our art to come together and help a worthwhile cause.
Lisa Bouchel is among at least 60 artists who will donate their talent.
So many people taking tongues for granted.
Jeffrey Gaines is a frequent performer at Light of Day concerts. The singer-songwriter says it has become a musical tradition for artist and audience alike.
Picking up right where you left off, that's really the best part, you know, because a year will go by and then we'll be invited again.
Do what you wanna do what you say.
Light of Day Foundation Vice President and musician Joe Durso says some of the most fulfilling moments are when Parkinson's patients are in the audience.
There's a medicine that gets delivered up through music at these shows that we do. You know, we just go out there and do our shows, but people really take something away from it.
The Light of Day Love Fest 2021 features 12 hours of performances streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and the Foundation's website, Friday through Sunday, including some newly recorded performances here at the Paramount Theater without an audience present, plus footage from previous Light of Day concerts, including last year's show with Bruce Springsteen. But unlike other years, there are no tickets for sale. Donations are being accepted instead. John Bathke, News 12, New Jersey.
Light of Day Foundation came to be after a music industry veteran in New Jersey, Bob Benjamin, was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
Well, one local organization helping rebuild minority-owned businesses with their grant program to help them stay afloat during this pandemic. News 12's Janae Caldwell has more on the impact the program's had on one business owner in Brooklyn.
Hip Hop Closet is a minority-owned streetwear brand that, like many other businesses, has struggled throughout the pandemic. But the brand has been able to keep business going with the help of a grant from the local Initiative Support Corporation, or LISC NYC.
That really helped me to pay some of the bills, pay the rent, keep a couple of employees on, and keep going.
Kaisha Kelly runs Hip Hop Closet, selling clothing, jewelry, and other items online and in her Brooklyn Navy Yard showroom. And as minority-owned businesses have been hit hard by the pandemic, Valerie White, the executive director of LISC NYC, says giving them support is especially important.
Black, brown, Latinx businesses have been going out of business at a rate much higher than other businesses. So we want to be sure that we're providing additional support for those communities.
Hip Hop Closet is one of more than 100 minority-owned businesses to receive $10,000 grants and other support services from the organization. At Brooklyn Navy Yard, Johnny Caldwell, News 12.
And some remarkable renovations at 3 public housing developments in the Bronx are done now after 2 years of construction. And residents say they are excited about the inside-out makeovers. News 12's Marissa Marcelino has this story.
I feel great. My residents feel great. We love that we have this transformation going on here.
The improvements are part of the NYCHA Permanent Affordability Commitment Together program, using public-private partnerships to transform public housing developments. And the before and after photos speak for themselves.
Residents are getting these comprehensively repaired developments. They're getting
enhanced property management services, and they still have the same protections that they had as residents under NYCHA.
As part of the most recent projects, over 1,800 apartments at the Baychester, Murphy houses, and Betances houses were renovated over the last 2 years in an effort to improve the quality of life for 4,300 residents.
We used to have garbage all over the place. People didn't respect where they lived.
She says residents also feel more protected with the installation of cameras and lighting.
It's much, much safer. It's much brighter. You know, you're able to walk through at night and be able to see where you're going.
Aside from the exterior of the buildings being upgraded as well as the landscaping, major renovations were done inside the apartments. New appliances, flooring, and lighting were installed in all of the apartments. Doors, elevators, and trash systems throughout the building were also replaced.
It's not just about fixing the buildings, it's really about creating spaces that people can better live in and enjoy their lives.
New playgrounds and community spaces were also added for residents to enjoy right in their backyard. In Edenwald, Marissa Marcelino, News 12.
With so many losing jobs during the pandemic, a local nonprofit has made it its mission to help those who have fallen on hard times finding work. The new Career Pathways program is putting 90 people through construction job training. The program is run by the largest provider of homeless services in Westchester.
What our West Hub team was able to do is identify that the construction sector in Westchester County has been thriving. So we took that fact along with the problem of unemployment and decided to develop the Career Pathways program to put some of our unemployed Westchester County residents into the construction sector.
To stay focused and get us to be positive, because this pandemic is not going to be with us forever.
And that is a graduate you just heard from at the end there. He's from Mount Vernon and now has 2 certifications that will allow him to be a site safety training instructor. Many of the other 90 Career Pathway students have already found jobs. Love to hear that.
Now to an ice-cold mission happening in the Hudson River. News 12's Diane Caruso heads out with the U.S. Coast Guard to keep the waterway flowing in these frigid temperatures.
Ice chunks the size of an SUV, cut through like butter by the U.S. Coast Guard.
This is our mission. We love doing our job.
Senior Chief Logan Atkinson and the rest of his crew are currently breaking up ice near Rhinebeck for Operation Renew, aka Reliable Energy for Northeast Winters.
The goal is to provide safe transit for commerce up and down the Hudson River. We've had a little bit more ice this winter, and the colder it gets, the harder it is to transit the river with more ice, and the more people need home heating oil.
Each piece of ice they destroy means a clearer path for home heating oil, gravel, and more to get where it has to go, like our homes. Their ship is responsible for breaking up ice on the Hudson River between Albany and New York City. That is more than 100 miles. While 4 other ships are stationed along the Hudson with the same ice-cold mission, science helps their 65-foot-long boat get the job done.
The design was created in a way that the vessel rides up on top of the ice, and then the weight of the vessel lays down on the ice and it breaks it apart for us to be able to transit through it.
So no matter the weather, the conditions, even a pandemic, the U.S. Coast Guard will be out on the waters helping keep the Hudson Valley going. In Rhinebeck, Diane Caruso, News 12.